Hey guys, what's up, it's Zyflin here, and today we're going to be taking a look at my Umbral Mirage build. Now, Umbral mods work really well on Mirage because you want to be getting your power strength as high as possible with the use of Umbral Intensify and a bunch of other power strength mods, right? Well, also keeping in mind, all of your other stats like duration, efficiency, etc. Efficiency isn't needed so much on Mirage simply because you have such a high base duration on all of your abilities anyway. So you don't really need to take it into consideration that much, but obviously having a decent amount of efficiency is good as well. So that opens up the potential to, make a build that has Blind Rage or something on it if you so please. But I personally don't want to use Blind Rage on her because I like being able to cast my abilities whenever I want to cast them, right? So that's why I shy away from using the likes of Blind Rage, but you can definitely 110% use Blind Rage if you really want to. So this is my build, and like mentioned beforehand, you mainly want to focus on duration and strength, right? My duration is a little bit higher than my strength for this build because I'm not using Blind Rage, but that's totally fine because her buff is multiplicative, so you deal insane damage anyway, and it has some really interesting interactions with other things in the game. She's literally known as the frame who breaks the game the most because she's just that crazy powerful. So I don't know if they're ever gonna nerf her or whatever, but the amount of damage you can get off with Mirage is absolutely insane. So I have Umbral Fatality on here for my health, so 550%. This is because we have Umbral Intensify on, and that gives me 55% power strength. They increase the stats of one another because that's how Umbral mods work, right? Prime Continuity, Narrow-Minded on here for our duration. Augur Secrets, Transient Fortitude. Hall of Malevolence for our, our power strength. And this here is just to buff up the damage of your doppelgangers, as well as you pair that with Power Drift, right? Now, what you could do is you could take a little bit of a hit to Power Drift here and then replace Augur Message with Constitution if you wanted to have a little bit more duration. But because I want to have a little bit more strength over the duration because the base duration is that high, that's why I've opted to use Augur Message plus Power Drift rather than Constitution maxed out with a, lower rank Power Drift, of course. So with this specific build, I get a duration on my Hall of Mirrors for 62 seconds, just above a minute, damage of 49.8%. Whenever you pair that with Hall of Malevolence, you get an extra 50% damage, which is really nice. Sleight of Hand, duration 45 seconds, explosion damage 498, doesn't matter too much. Eclipse, which is your insane buff, is giving you 62 second duration, a damage increase of 498%, and then damage reduction of 95% whenever you're in the dark. And then we have Prism on here, which has a duration of 30 seconds, a blind duration of 37 seconds, and damage of 622. But obviously we take a massive hit to our range, and our energy per second is very high because we're not modding for, efficiency and whatnot. So we don't have flow, we don't have streamline, we don't have fleeting, so that's going to be rather high. So with Hall of Mirrors, it costs 25 energy to cast, and an Eclipse takes 25 energy to cast as well. So in total, you're using 50 energy every single time that you want to put both of these buffs up. But man, the amount of damage that you can deal is absolutely crazy. You can make the power strength off your frame higher if you were to use the new Pax Arcanes that you can get for your kick guns. So you can use Pax Bolt to increase the power strength whenever you get a headshot kill, or you can use Pax Seeker, which actually is really insane on Mirage. But then again, what isn't really insane on Mirage? She's just one of the best buffers in the game because of how powerful her Eclipse and then Hall of Malevolence is as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to spawn in Heavy Gunners, and we're going to use my, my kick gun. I bought the Smile Face. It's a standard crit build. So let's go ahead and take a look. So we have Hornet Strike, Borrow the Fusion, Lethal Torrent for damage and multi-shot plus fire rate. Prime Pistol Gambit for critical chance. Prime Target Cracker for critical damage. Then we have Convulsion plus Pathogen Rounds for our corrosive. And then Primed Expel Corrupted is going to go on here instead of Grenier because we're playing against the Corrupted. So you can use Primed Expel mods. You can use Augur Pat. You can use Hydraulic Crosshairs. You can use the Third Element. Whatever, because you're using Mirage, you're going to deal some insane damage. And then what you could do even more to increase the DPS is use Arcane Velocity, right? Arcane Velocity is going to increase your fire rate. Not that you're going to need it anyway, because, you're going to be two-shotting, one-shotting, whatever the case may be. But yeah, let's go ahead and try this out. So this is just going to be raw damage plus Pax Seeker, right? So what you're going to see whenever we get a headshot kill is these little balls are going to come out, and they are going to be buffed up by a Mirage buff, and they're going to one-shot the surrounding enemies, right? It's not going to one-shot all of them because I think you only get like 6 or 5 bolts or something. We can go back and read the description after. But you're going to see them come out of the enemy's head whenever they die to a headshot kill, and they're going to die. These guys are level 160, and they are armored. No armor stripping apart from the corrosive projection that I have equipped on my Mirage. So that's minus 30% armor, which does help with our damage, but you should be running that anyway, at least in my opinion. So, our 1 and our 3. Okay. Not insane. Not insane. Not insane. Insane. One-shot it, right? All of those enemies died to those Pax Seekers. So it's got some interesting interactions with the likes of other arcanes and mods that you can go ahead and equip. So you can deal some absolutely crazy damage. And of course, if you're using the likes of gas procs and slash procs, which will demonstrate as well. Actually, let's just go ahead and use the Baza, right? The Baza with your primed blah, blah, blah. Primed being of corrupted plus viral. So you're not going to be getting bonus damage from corrosive damage versus these guys, but we're going to be halving the enemy's health with viral. And then our hunter munitions, because we're hitting a higher base number with the Mirage buff, then the slash procs are going to deal even more damage, and these guys are going to die insanely quickly, right? So pay attention to this. So we hit our 1, we hit our 3, and we go ahead and we shoot these guys in the head. And I look at the damage numbers on those slash procs, right? 5,000 damage on a slash proc is absolutely insane. So that's some crazy DPS right there. And we're not even holding down the trigger, right? So if we were to hold down the trigger, these guys would die even quicker, you know? Look at this guy. 5k. Easy kills, dude. So Mirage just makes literally everything you do deal more damage, right? You can do the exact same with gas procs as well. So let's, for example, use the comb, right? 100% status chance comb before multi-shot with gas damage on it. Okay. Go ahead and equip that build. So you'll see that we have gas damage plus cold. Cold isn't ideal, but because my Riven gives it, I don't really have a chance or a choice. So you have 123.4% status chance, 115 cold, and then 106 fire it, which is all right. Vigilante armaments for multi-shot, health chamber for multi-shot, prime point blank for our base damage. I go ahead and I make gas damage by combining toxic barrage plus scattering inferno, and then frigid blast on here. Blaze is to increase the heat damage. So ideally, I would want to be running like Contagious Spread to up the damage over time of the actual toxin procs from the gas procs, but unfortunately I can't fit that into my build. So if we were to go ahead and spawn in Corpus Tech, now I'm spawning in Corpus Tech because they are kind of the more threatening enemies in the Corpus faction, right? So they don't have any armor. And of course, you can run gas versus armored enemies if you really, really want to at lower levels. But whenever you get to the point like level 100 plus, then that armor is just going to completely deduct a lot of the gas damage that you're going to be dealing, right? Because you're not hitting a high base number, because they are initially armored, then the gas damage over time isn't going to be as high. So it's better to use gas damage versus non-armored enemies or enemies that have shields, because gas damage or the toxin procs from the gas damage goes through that shield, right? So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use Arcane Tempo to, again, up the DPS of my shotgun, because whenever we get a crit, even though the comb isn't a crit weapon, you can still proc Arcane Tempo with it, because you can get crits here and there, right? And then whenever it does proc, like your Arcane Tempo proc, then that fire rate is absolutely phenomenal. So you're 1 and you're 3. Now look at that damage over time, dude. It's absolutely crazy. We didn't even have to shoot some of these guys, and they die extremely fast, right? So that's not holding down the trigger. We hold down the trigger in these guys. Obliterated, dude. Like, they are just gone. They're done. So some crazy DPS. And this is the thing with people who use the likes of Warframe Builder, right? Warframe Builder doesn't take slash procs and gas procs into consideration whenever you're calculating the DPS for your build. So it's just calculating the raw DPS of like per shot on your weapon instead of taking the slash procs and gas procs, etc. into consideration, which is also a reason why beam mods have such a bad reputation in the game, because they use sites like Warframe Builder and just the stats on their weapon, and they don't do any research into slash procs and whatnot. So yeah, I'm going to wait for my buffs to run out, and then we're going to try this gas damage comb versus these ferrite armored enemies, just so you can see the difference shooting armored versus non-armored. So let's go ahead and use our 1 and our free. So you can definitely do it using Mirage, right? So you still have some crazy damage over time, but because like they have armor, you see that those gas damage ticks are extremely lower, right? You're getting 204. So you're wanting to have a very, very high base number, just so your gas damage over time is initially higher, right? So higher base number means more damage through armor and through shields and whatnot. So just getting that damage number as high as possible is super, super ideal. You can't use the likes of a gas comb versus a armored enemy if you're not using Mirage. Mirage just makes it like just that little bit easier because, you know, she's an insane buffer frame. So I want to spawn in more Corpus Techs because why not? And you'll see the Hall of Malevolence buff stack up too. So if we go ahead and we fall off the bat, you'll see that whenever I use my Hall of Malevolence, there's no buff up there in the top right, apart from my Eclipse, right? But whenever I start to get kills, it's going to go all the way up to 50, right? So we're going to get a 50% damage buff to all of our clones, which is just going to increase our overall damage, right? Which is awesome. These guys die even faster. So that was 20 Corpus Techs, all killed extremely fast because of your your gas comb and Mirage's ability to, you know, buff. So the other thing I want to show off is just this build versus corrupted heavy gunners. This is Corrosive Heat Prime Dex spell. So it's more or less the same build. Crit builds, Pathogen Run, Convulsion for corrosive, crit mods, damage mods, pack Seeker on here, so then we can, you know, get off that Seeker proc, implying we hit the enemies in the head. So let's spawn in heavy gunners. And here we go. Simulate. 1 and our free. Aim towards the head. And you'll see that these guys, whenever I finally get a headshot kill, they die extremely fast. So you don't really have to aim that much because this is just like an Arcaplasm more sweeping shot type weapon. But you can get off some insane damage whenever you do finally get that headshot kill, right? Implying these guys don't get knocked off the map because, you know, it takes a few shots to get it to register the headshot kill, you know. So yeah, that's a big old unfortunate. It's just because you have radiation plus corrosive on this that the damage is a little bit lower. If we were to use gas damage versus the likes of your your Corpus Techs, those guys would die extremely fast. We didn't get a headshot kill there, unfortunately. So the thing with this is, because of the type of weapon it is, it doesn't have a headshot multiplier. You can still get headshots with the weapon, yes, but you just don't get that multiplicative headshot bonus, right? So that's what's really hurting the damage of this weapon, because you don't get that bonus because the base damage is already so high, and the way that it fires, if it did get headshots, like pre-headshot nerf Arcaplasmor, it would be absolutely insane. So let's go ahead and show the exact same weapon versus those level 160 Corpus Techs, and you'll see the absolute difference between the two, because these guys, well, they don't have armor, and we're using gas damage, which is proccing behind their shields, right? So here we go. 1 on our free. And look how fast they die. You combine that with Pack Seeker, then you got some insane damage potential right there. Those are some pretty huge numbers. And the reason that this is important, and the reason that I'm showing you this versus these Corpus Techs, is because if you're going into a long endurance run, you should be using Corrosive Projection 4 times. So you and the other 3 players that you're playing with, using Corrosive Projection will allow you to use the gas build, and you will see similar results to how fast I'm killing those Corpus Techs versus those like really, you know, high level enemies, right? Whenever they do eventually get that high level, because they have no armor to reduce the damage that they're taking, right? So normally you'd only really use gas on high status chance weapons, or weapons that have a somewhat decent chance to proc status. You can also use viral plus slash on your crit rifle. Even though they don't have the highest status chance, you don't need to stack a viral proc. So stacking it once is enough to half the enemy's HP down to 50%. Well, that's halving, right? For I think it's either 6 or 8 seconds. So then those slash procs that are being buffed up by Mirage or whatever other buffs are, you know, doing their work and killing those enemies really, really fast and upping your DPS and whatnot. So, yeah, hopefully that was a nice little crash course on how status chance and damage and stuff kind of works, and how Mirage can help out with that, and Prime mods or Prime beam mods and Expel mods and all that stuff. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button below. If you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.